Oh, yeah, I've never seen it before, but it doesn't make it wrong.
Probably should have.
The full legislature can direct the chair and you, but
To report, and it says we'll report back where the line's gone.
so I might, if I were in your seat, I would ask that that be amended and ask the finance director to report the
Okay.
changes that, I mean, you
Yeah.
guys approve them, that's fine, but I don't know that you want to
Because
generate.
basically, he just disauthorizes them to make the lines whole,
Yeah.
that go over budget. And
So I think get some, calling it modified approval. Encumbrances, there's Grace right there, if you.
hey, Grace. Oh, yeah.
It's encumbrances.
For the administrative shop.
Encumbered.
I. Look at this.
So it's also about, yeah,
I never saw that before. Is that true? Should we amend it?
The change. No, like the change from last.
Are you going to Geneva?
Hello, just so everyone knows, Chambers is unmuted.
I didn't write this.
I think it's, well, it's a
Standard.
standard. Don't blame me, it's my first one.
Okay. We are ready.
You don't have a quorum.
Same.
Oh, yes, you do.
Oh.
Hi.
Johnson and Heidi. Okay, I'd like to call the Ways and Means meeting to order. Members present, myself, Elaine Daly, Jonathan Anna, Brian Muldrow, Heidi Nightingale, and Stephanie DeVito in for Ben Vitale. There, can I get a motion to approve the minutes of December 12th?
Second.
Any, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, you see, we do have no appointments on the agenda tonight. And before we get into the actual meeting and get some of the reports from the departments, I just wanted to say that, you know, obviously this is a very new role for me, moving from Chair of Health and Human Services to Chair of Ways and Means. And I do have some thoughts that I wanted to share when we start this meeting. This 2024 budget, in my opinion, is one of the largest draws from our fund balance that I've seen in any operating budget for the county. We've always been cautioned about routine use of fund balance to balance the operating budget. But this year's budget calls for about $7.3 million draw from the fund balance. And if the resolution on public works passes tonight, there'll be additional $433,000 draw on that fund balance, and another $65,000 for the temporary roof repair, which is absolutely something we have to do. And although generally we have not used the fund balance that we dedicated in the past, our budget director believes we'll likely use at least $3 million of that fund balance this year. She also believes our sales tax revenue in 2023 will outperform our 23 budget by about 1.5 million, which is good. But our sales tax seems to be leveling off, and we've heard that. I think Grace has said that, Lynn has said that. And it seems gone are the days that our sales tax will be over budget by $6 million. And that was during COVID, and none of us would have projected that. We projected our sales tax in 24 to be around 30 million, realizing this leveling off has happened. We're going to be tracking our sales tax numbers throughout the year. And with Lynn and Grace's help, we'll be working on meaningful quarterly budget reports. We all know there's a lot of mandated costs in county operations that we must pay irregardless. But there's also a lot of things that the county does that are equally as important. We have not significantly added to our revenue through property taxes in the last 3 years. We had a 0, a 1%, and this year a 2%. And I think I speak for everyone around this table and on the legislature that no one wants us to be in a position to impose a significant tax increase or even worse, be in a position where we have to cut staff or services. I've heard more than once we should not grow county government as our population has shrunk. But in fact, we have. In 2022, we had 589 full-time positions. In this year's budget, we are budgeting for 615 full-time staff. Our biggest increase came from 22 to 23, when we all faced the reality that we had added 22 jobs, new jobs. Yes, some of them were 100% funded, but that really was the count at the end of the year. Honestly, though, I do believe that just because the population is less doesn't mean the needs are less or the cost to provide the same services not higher. And this highlights the importance of us investing in economic development. We've made needed salary adjustments to retain and recruit staff. We've renewed our collective bargaining agreements. We'll be finishing up the non-bargaining salary review this year, having already done the legal group ahead of this. And this is just the reality I think we find ourselves in. All we do in county government is important. Public safety, public health, social services, mental health, aging, veterans, and youth services. I think we need to be careful with our spending. We need to maintain a healthy fund balance, and we need to invest in those needed capital projects that we have. For one, the building and all the other capital needs we have, and we also need to cover emergencies that come up, like the roof blowing off. And I'm sure we'll be, we did the immediate repair there, and I'm sure we'll be looking at some additional repairs in the spring, or maybe Gary can enlighten us. But I do think that if we work together, we should all be looking at taking a critical look at everything we do in county government. But that's my introduction to Ways and Means.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, before we get into the best part is there's 2 resolutions for Ways and Means. But before we get into it, I wonder if Dave, would you come up and kind of highlight anything on your report?
Sure. John, I didn't know you colored your hair.
Oh. By the way.
Nice to see you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
You have my report here. Is there anything I can answer for you or specifically?
Well, I was curious about the met with real property, county attorney planning regarding petroleum property in Aurelius. I didn't really understand what that was.
You probably are aware that over the last number of months, the gas station down on the west end of town by McDonald's, that's the property we're talking about.
Okay, where we don't know if we've taken possession or.
Correct.
Yes, okay.
And there's been a lot of issues about it because it's been dilapidated, falling down. The neighbors are calling in, everybody's upset about it. And it's caused a lot of conversation with our attorneys and real property with Jenny and so on. And Aurelius as to the possibilities of what's going to happen going forward and so on. And it's an Aurelius property. It's not Auburn. And the main issue is that there is petroleum underneath there. And that creates a situation for us where we can't just take it over and go through the normal process that we would. So we're all trying to work together to figure out what to do. Aurelius has made some steps and they've taken it down and cleaned it up for the most part. And the next question is, we've been pondering in meetings is, where do they think they're going to go with that going forward? Is it just going to end up being an eyesore? Or is it going to be, they're going to do something with it? And they're still deciding, we're still deciding. There's a lot of legal issues. So that's what's going on with it.
Okay, and it's unclear whether the county will take that property.
At this point in time, we're not
We're
taking
not,
that property
yes.
because
Okay.
of the environmental aspects of it. And there's a sophisticated process that we have to go through when we do that, that Rich and Jenny can help us out
Yeah.
with here if you need more specifics. But that's where we're at right now. But the good thing is it is down and it looks better.
Good.
The next steps here, what are we gonna do, if anything, from here? Because the impediment is, it's like, they've estimated somewhere around $230,000 to remediate the damage underneath. And who's gonna pay for that? We don't wanna pay for that. They don't wanna pay for
Right.
that. And what are we gonna do?
Yep.
And obviously, what we'd like to do in a perfect world is get back on the tax roll somehow. But it's zoned personally and not commercial right now. They'd have to change that. There's a lot of tax implications and it's a whole bouillabaisse of
Yep.
things here we're trying to work through. So that's a long answer to your
Yep.
question, but,
Any questions for the treasurer?
oh. I look forward to working with y'all and feel free to come to my office anytime. I'm happy to discuss anything or whenever you need any information. We're going through a difficult time right now with foreclosures and getting ready for auctions and that kind of stuff right now. So we're all busy, but we'd love to have you see that process and see how it all works. I know treasurer's office doesn't seem exciting to you, like planning or some other things. But we do a lot of really important things down there, collecting taxes, and the money that comes through is crucial for everything we do. So I'd like y'all to come down and see how it all works.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks.
Grace.
Hello.
Hello.
Over to you.
How's everybody?
Good.
Good. But for just a little bit of an introduction for Stephanie and Jonathan, I actually did meet Jonathan a little bit earlier today, but just who, I guess, my role with the county. I've been the finance director for a year. It was a year this month, actually. Yeah, wow. It's been a crazy year and a roller coaster of a year, but I have been with the county though almost 24 years. So prior to coming up to the finance department, I was basically the fiscal director for DSS. So that's me in a nutshell. But I did put together, I do have an organizational chart of the finance department along with just a bullet sheet of the main functions of the finance department. Just to kind of give you an idea of the stuff we do. Dave kind of stole my line. We aren't as exciting as a lot of the program areas, but we do a lot of important things down there. And I'm not going to go through all of them, but just to kind of bullet maybe the first 5, because that's probably what we do consistently on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. So obviously we have the payroll and benefits side. And I believe most of you have been down there now and have worked along or with or met Pam or Courtney or one of them or both. Both very seasoned employees. They do an outstanding job, but we do all the payroll and benefits for the county. We do a lot with cash management. We have over 50 bank accounts, so we have to do a lot of reconciling, a lot of cash management with moving accounts. When it comes to paying bills, doing wires, things like that. Depending on what we're paying, we've added multiple accounts, so we just have to make sure that we're moving money, keeping it where we can so it earns interest until we have to move it. So that's a lot. It's a lot of work on a weekly basis. We do all the accounts payable for the county. All the payments, we have a couple warrants every month, regular warrants, credit card warrants, different hand audits, and wires, ACHs, and we're responsible for all the accounts receivable, all the money coming in, obviously recording of it. And then as Elaine mentioned, the sales tax reporting is another big one we do. We monitor it, we record all the revenue coming in, and then we have to issue the payments out to the towns and villages. There's a lot more on here, but you know, I'm not going to get into any of that, but those are probably the 5 things that we do, like I said, consistently on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. With that being said, you do have my report. And I do,
I did see your good news about actually interviewing
yes,
3
yes.
people for the deputy.
Well, we had 3 candidates.
Oh,
So, we actually interviewed one this morning. One did not respond and, actually 2 did not respond. So we're waiting to hear back from one yet, but, so we did do one interview this morning. I'm happy to say it actually was a good interview. We were happy with the candidate. We will be doing some reference checks. So, I mean, fingers crossed, the pool has been very limited. We've waited months just to get these few applicants in, so, you know, cross your fingers, yes. We've had this position vacant, as you can see on the org chart, for probably most of the year. So I've really been doing the work of both the deputy, which was an accountant, but we changed it to deputy, and my position.
You say one of the three showed up?
One of the three responded
To the
to
email.
an email for an interview, yes. Yeah. Yeah, and we sent the emails out last week, so,
Mhm.
we'll see what happens this week, but.
And they had applied a while ago.
Uh, uh, a couple, one applied, just before the holidays, one
Mhm.
applied, I think maybe a month and a half ago, but,
Right.
it's just,
Right. Yep.
yeah, so we may have lost that one, but,
Are you hiring another accountant then to oversee the juniors?
it would be the deputy director,
Right,
so.
that'll be another accountant.
Yes, yes, yeah. So that would be basically second in command, because right now, I don't have anybody to kind of lean on for a lot of the responsibilities that I can't really give to the junior accountants. All of that cash management stuff, there's certain things that, we kind of keep that role at a higher level, so.
You might say, keep this question to yourself, but we were asking Tom Bunn about this work group that he's trying to set up. You're gonna be part of that,
Yes,
and that would just be looking, maybe it's not gonna happen tomorrow, but centralizing some of the functions.
centralizing some of the payroll functions,
Yeah.
yes, from the county. I don't think that's gonna probably be anything in 2024. We didn't even, budget for any of that yet,
Right.
so we're definitely.
For the software.
For the software or anything like that, yeah, so we do plan on continuing to meet on that. We did do some meeting in 2023. We'll continue to meet on that, and hopefully by 2025, we can roll out with something and really start pushing that centralization. And it's also a combination of payroll and some HR functions, so we're looking at a software that'll do some of both, so.
Great.
Other than that, I mean, just to kind of highlight, it's year end for us. That's our busiest time. And just to kind of give you a brief timeline, I know, I don't want to take up too much time, but on how the audit works, we do have an independent auditor come in, Drescher Malecki. So what generally happens is probably around March and April, we try to close the financial system. And we have what used to be called the AUD, which is now the AFR, the annual financial report, that has to be submitted to the state by May 1st. Once that's done, the auditors come in and then they start. And they usually come on in-house for a couple of weeks and then do a lot offsite. And then they will present to you sometime around August. And then the single audit has to be submitted by September 30th. So it's a busy time.
Yeah.
But
And this projection of being on 1.5 million over the budgeted sales tax in 23, that happens when things get closed out, and that's the first quarter of the year, or?
that's correct. Yes, there is a couple more payments, so there is an accrual, but the money that came in is we do already know that. So
Okay.
we are 1.5 million over a forecast, so.
Good.
Do you feel that the consultation with the Director of Finance at DSS around the year-end process is going to be the last push of consultation you need to do?
Yes, I mean, I think we'll always be there, obviously, being the finance department for the county, we're fiscal support for all the departments. So we'll always be there for fiscal support, and I'm sure she'll have a lot of questions. That position, it takes years to really, so good for her that she's actually got both Lynn and I, who both worked in DSS here. We didn't have that, so we are huge resources for her rather than having to reach out, to other counties all the time, So I imagine we'll still be support for her quite a bit. So, but yes, once we give her the year-end stuff, she'll have a big part of what she's, is supposed to do, and then it's just mainly a learning curve for her. You're welcome.
Okay,
Anything else?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Jen. Hello.
So I have a couple things to add to my report. When we discovered after the bills already went out that the town of Fleming had an error with the levy that they turned over to the county. So the way that is handled, it happens all across the state, lots of different areas that will happen. But funds should be set aside into a separate account. And then next year, there will be a credit on, the Fleming's town tax. So, we did post something up, a news flash on our website for that. And Fleming took what I posted and posted it on their website as well to notify taxpayers of that. But I just,
They overpaid us and you'll bill
no,
them less?
they typically do not have a levy for the town.
Oh, okay.
And because of an accounting error,
Uh-huh.
they ran something through the general fund that should not have been run through the general fund. So they turned over to the county that there was a town levy when there really shouldn't have been a levy.
A town tax,
A town tax, correct.
which how does that impact the county?
Essentially just it runs through us. So next year I need to know to make sure that they're giving me a credit balance,
Okay,
so that we can put that onto the tax bills. And also, you know, taxpayers will call with questions, so just understanding exactly what happens so that we can communicate that to people. And I just wanted to make you guys aware because you may hear that at some point as well. But- okay. Also on my report, I had noted that the governor vetoed the 1 year in-rem foreclosure moratorium that had been on the table. The New York State executive budget, the revenue budget, there's a part N in there that actually addresses the return of tax foreclosure surplus funds. I got that documentation yesterday, so I've read through that. I think I have a relatively firm grasp on what the proposal is. I think there's a lot of high points to it. There's a couple things I'm not so crazy about.
she vetoed the way the county will
So
give
there
the money
was.
back?
There was a bill that she vetoed that it was basically saying that we would stop any foreclosure actions. So essentially our foreclosure can move forward. But the question has been, what do we do with our surplus funds? We've been waiting for direction from the state. So the state's revenue budget, or I should say the governor's revenue budget, includes a proposal, as far as how to proceed with those surplus funds. So I'm not sure if it will get passed by the full legislature or not. But what's been proposed is better than what I had been anticipating.
Because we have these funds set aside because they were in excess of what the property was worth.
Correct.
We can't keep them like we used to, but we don't know how to give them back until you get direction.
Correct, until the state changes the law
Okay.
to direct us how to proceed. So this proposal, like I said, I've gone through it and it's more favorable than prior proposals that have come forward. So if you'd like, next month, I could kind of lay out the bullet points of that proposal, just so you know how it works. I don't know if you want the
I needed new
details.
gray matter when she used to talk about this, so don't say it's fine.
I'm not sure if you're
I get it.
interested in it until it passes, if you want to know about it ahead of time. But I'm happy to, you know,
That would
kind
be
of give
great.
you a Reader's Digest
Especially,
version,
yeah.
just so that you know how that would look.
What we're even talking about, that would be great, yes.
Yes, and I apologize, you guys haven't been involved in this, okay?
My question was where we put that money, how much interest are we?
So
Or
it's.
we're not allowed to?
I know it's in a trust account right now, and I do not know. Right, is it in an interest bearing account, do you know?
It is in an interest bearing account, yes.
Okay.
Good work, Grace.
Has to be something.
Yeah.
So, but I'll put forward some bullet points for you next month, to kind of go through what the current proposal is. Again, it has to be passed by state legislature, so it's possible that there'll be changes to it. But I was pleasantly surprised with a lot of the different, aspects to that proposal, so. Much,
Less cumbersome on the county, you mean?
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And then also Elaine requested that I review
I just thought it would be interesting, yeah.
yes, the 2024 county apportionment for the county tax. So when we determine what each municipality is gonna pay for with the county tax. Essentially, we look at the county taxable value. So that's the full assessed value, less any exemptions that are applicable to county. Then there are certain exemptions that get added back in, for purpose of apportionment. And then the equalization rate is applied. And for newer members that probably haven't heard me talk about equalization rates before, so not every town will value properties every year. So what they have as assessment falls out of line with what the actual market value is for those properties. So the equalization rate is the way that the state interacts with the town assessors to set a rate to try to bring those values up to the market value. So that if you're apportioning a tax between municipalities that are valued at different levels, it brings them all up to a full market level so that when you're distributing that tax, it's higher. So the equalization rate is applied to bring everybody up to the full market value for apportionment. And then essentially, based on that full market value, what percentage that is of the total full market value, they pay that share of the county's levy. So for the city of Auburn, you'll see that this year they're paying 19.5% of the total county tax levy.
And the year before.
And the year before it was 20.97, so 21%.
Yep.
So they're paying a smaller share this year than we did last year. And you can just kind of review for the towns that you are legislator for to see kind of how that looks.
Okay.
Are there any other questions with my report?
So, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Hi, Diane. Hi there. How are you?
Good.
Would start with just obviously a lot of what we do in our office currently is helping recruit for the various departments, you know, and their openings and stuff. So I thought I would talk a little bit about some of the key positions and areas that we filled last year to give you an idea of what we worked on. And then what kind of opens positions we currently have and how many there are and what departments we're trying to support now through that process. So last year, some of the key positions, to name a few, obviously, one was Grace's position, the Director of Finance. We hired a new stop DWI coordinator, the Director of Purchasing, a grant manager. For Public Health, we hired the Director of Public Health, Education, and Public Information. We ended up filling 3 junior accountant positions, one for the Finance Department, one for Public Health, and one for the Office of the Aging, which were key because we have been struggling to fill our fiscal positions. There's not a lot of candidates out there, so we were very happy to get those people on board. Currently, we have the supervising social services attorney. We hired various attorneys for the DA's office. We hired a new probation director, which just recently started through the HELP program, which was something New York State started last year. It was a hiring emergency limited placement program. So it was only for certain titles within civil service that provided critical direct care as far as health and safety titles where there was severe shortages of candidates. So one of the positions we put into that program was the Human Services Examiner from the Department of Social Services. We asked for 8 positions. So what that meant is these people could be hired as non-competitive. They did not have to take an exam for the position. And then after a year, when the program ended, they would be given competitive status and still would not have to sit for the exam. So we received quite a few applications for those positions and we were able to hire 8 people under that program. Caseworkers we're continuously doing recruitment for, so we have filled several of those. And then another key position for mental health was a staff social worker that we had hired a few of those. So currently, we have a majority of departments that are currently have open budgeted positions. My office is one of them. We have a position in the county clerk's office. The finance department, which Grace talked about, her deputy director of finance. Highway has 2 motor equipment operators, a garage manager, and an auto mechanic. Public.
All budgeted.
All budgeted.
But vacant.
But vacant. Public Health is still looking to fill their Director of Community Health Services. And then either a senior public health educator or a public health educator. They're also looking for a public health nurse and an early intervention services coordinator. Buildings and Grounds still has 1 building maintenance mechanic position, and due to a recent resignation has a part-time account clerk typist. E911 is looking for a supervisor emergency services dispatcher along with a regular emergency services dispatcher. Mental health, which is another key department right now with openings that we're trying to fill for, they have 4 staff social workers open, a grant assistant. They soon will have the deputy director of community mental health services due to a retirement that will happen in March. And then they're looking for a part-time compliance officer. Planning has 1 opening for a senior planner, GIS analyst. Office of the Aging has a full-time aging services specialist and 2 part-time positions, 1 for an aging services assistant and for a food service helper. Department of Social Services is another key area for us with openings that we're trying to fill. They have 4 caseworkers. 2 of the social services attorneys. We recently did receive another application, so the department has reached out to that person and they're hoping to schedule an interview soon with that individual.
Do they have 3 social services attorneys?
They do,
Or
but
just-
they have
They
1.
only have 1 full. They have
Yes.
2 openings.
Correct. Yep. They recently are looking for a paralegal specialist. They have a data entry machine operator and another, still 1 human services examiner position. And then another key department, which we know has always been tough to fill, is the law enforcement side for the sheriff. He currently has 7 custody officer openings. They are currently in the process of doing the T&E exam for that position, so there should be a new list out in the spring. And then we have 3 positions in the road patrol, a promotional position to a sergeant, and then again, we continue to try to find someone for their corrections facility administrator. So, and then the remaining departments are fully staffed with full-time. So we currently have 47 positions is what open, is what that totals. So from that list. Quite a few that are gonna keep us busy.
7 vacancies, yeah.
Yeah. So.
And you did a lot better with that better team, or, I mean, that has
Yes,
been a
so
strategy that you
That has
used?
been a strategy. It is helping bring in some applications that we weren't receiving before. We did see an increase overall with people signing up for various positions and exams. We had an increase of over 800 transactions from the year before. So multiple people are signing up for multiple positions, but we are seeing an increase again with people applying for positions. And some of it is due probably somewhat to the different vacancies that we've had throughout the year and the number of vacancies that we've had. So.
Yes.
And then we roughly have about 127 people that we hired, oriented and onboarding last year still with the county. The various departments. So.
Great.
And then I'm sorry.
For all those 47 positions, is there anything that we've identified that maybe we consolidate or reduce that number through attrition, or are those all, are they seen as all necessary? Those numbers.
The departments would see them all as necessary positions. A good majority of them between mental health, the sheriff, public health, they're all
Especially
servicing
trained,
the
it
community.
would be tough to
Yeah,
consolidate.
it would be.
Their
They are,
degrees and things.
they do have large caseloads now between the caseworkers, social workers with mental health.
understanding that, but that is a possibility. If there were a few that could be consolidated, that makes sense. I mean, legally, you could do that.
Certainly,
Okay.
yes. The other, thing to highlight, I guess, on the report is just that, in 2024, we will be, we've been asked to do the compensation study for the non-bargaining, full-time positions. So we are prepping for that. Part of that process, I have met with Amanda O'Grady from purchasing, to discuss, companies that do consulting work for compensation studies. Together, we reviewed what information we want to gather through that study. And then we will be reaching out to a few companies to get proposals from them. So if the amounts come in under, I've been told by Amanda, if the amounts come in under 75,000, we don't have to go out for RFP according to our purchasing policy. And then we can review that. So we'll be doing that. And then once we have that information, then I'll be meeting with Lynn Marinelli, our budget director, to discuss funding for the study. So more than likely that cost will need to come from our contingency budget.
And when, just for the history, when we did the original comp study, it called for this review in
Correct.
2024, or when a position is vacant, you could ask for a review.
Yes, if the incumbent was in the position for
3 years.
more than 3 years, the department head could ask for a review of the position when it became vacated. And then it was determined that the study would take place again in 2024, and then every 4 years after that.
So that we're keeping up with market.
With the market.
Yeah. And you, I guess I'm questioning, you basically said realistically, if you get this study done in 24, you'd be looking at 25
Correct.
when you're making the adjustments.
Yes, because there are several steps through the process. One would be to make sure that the job specifications for each position that's going to be part of the study are up to date,
Mhm.
and that they reflect the duties of the position. So we would want to go through all that with the department heads. And then also the consultants have them review them with us.
Yep.
And then from there, they would need to reach out externally into the market to gather the information. We also want to look at our scale and see if that needs revamping. The way it's done right now, there's only a max and a minimum and a max, I'm sorry, where we really should have a larger scale. Minimally, most scales would look at, you would have a minimum, you would have a midpoint, and you would have a maximum. It helps align people better when you're hiring them, and also when you're looking at internal equity and bringing more people, new people into this.
And the only movement on those scales has been the non-bargaining raises have been applied, or no,
Correct.
3% or something?
Yes.
Yes.
So currently, what happens is, depending on the amount that the current staff receives for a percentage, so this year it was a 3.5% increase, we adjusted the scale by 2.5. So that way, anyone new that had come in to a position that had started at a minimum, they would remain above the minimum in case with someone new coming in, so that they would, stay ahead of other people.
So the people working here aren't just getting lost and the new hires are, yeah.
We may also have to add some grades and adjust where people are too. So some positions may change, other positions may stay where they are. But until we get through the process, we won't know. So anticipating that will take some time too. There'll be a review. We would bring it in front of the legislature. I'm anticipating that by the time we're done, it would probably be late summer, early fall. And then we would implement the changes after that point.
Great. And you won't have to worry about the legal group because we've already
done
that.
that.
Yeah,
Correct.
great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Oh, and if you want, I'm happy to mail out that list of open positions if you would like them.
You know what?
Bring copies with me.
Can you send it to me again? I know you already sent me one. Can you send me another one? I deleted it on accident, the new computer with the
Sure.
thumb. Okay. So if you could send it again.
Sure. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. Hi.
Hello.
Hi. I've only been with the county for about 6 months and I'm a department of one. So it's me. A couple of the major things that I just would mention is the end of the year processing. Going through that has been, that's kind of been the biggest thing that I'm doing,
Closing
adjusting and
POs.
closing POs to make sure we're clean and then double checking with Grace to make sure it's all kind of balancing the way it should. Having departments clean things up a little bit more than they're used to. So working through that. And then I'm working on highway bids that will be published next week. There's 16 of those, so those are pretty time consuming. And then, dates and stuff and January, the start of January. So I'm still working on year end stuff, plus then all the new things coming through too for 2024 so that they can process things and going over contract details for that.
And
Do
it
you guys-
seems like we've been talking about broadband and the possibility
Oh,
of,
yeah.
of better access and getting these B funds, but could you just report on you are looking at requests for quotes?
Yep, yeah, so I sent out requests for quotes to 9 different firms or agencies that could potentially quote us.
To give us technical assistance to help.
Yeah,
work
yeah,
right
to
for
help us
grant money
bring
or-
out, yep, to do the RFP, to potentially bring on people and get money. And ECC, we had already received a quote from, and I sent out to 8 additional agencies. I've only heard back from 2 and both of them were not interested in quoting us. One person, the one was willing to consult with us for free based on what we get back but that was it. They didn't have time or the staffing to actually take on the project.
So I was gonna ask what the reasoning was.
Yeah, they said it, I guess he recently, it was somebody that was referred to us. I don't remember who, I don't have it in front of me, but we reached out to them. It was one of the legislators had mentioned that person and they recently took over as a CEO for another agency. So he said he does not have the time to take it on, but he's more than willing to look at the proposals and consult with us if we had questions on any of the technical aspects of it.
And then once those quotes come back, we pick a vendor, then
Yeah.
we're going to have to bring a resolution forward, figure out how much it's gonna cost and where we're gonna get the money.
Yeah, decide what we want to do really.
Yeah.
For the purchasing policy, we just need 3, so we technically have satisfied that because I have 2
That said,
no, thank
thanks.
you, and we do have 1 quote. I did make phone calls yesterday because I hadn't heard back from a bunch of them. And I still have not heard back from the rest of them, so I don't know how much more. I gave everybody another little extension. It was originally gonna be due by the 18th, and I said the 22nd. So
Yep.
we'll see Monday if
All right, and if not, we're in compliance with our purchasing
if not, we're in
policy and-
compliance with our purchasing policy and
Yep.
we're good to proceed however you guys see fit.
Great, Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Any other questions and here?
I don't think so.
I went to that Cayuga. That was great.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Did you like the snacks?
I
I'll pick those
I
up.
waited till everybody was pretty much done and then I did try a couple.
Oh my gosh, there were so many though.
They were, it was very tasty, but it was nice to recognize employees who.
Good.
Okay, so I
We're
have to know,
planning
is
a
there something
calendar of
special with the
events.
snacks?
Oh,
What was
yeah,
happening with the
you-
snacks?
No, we just did a
situation?
variety of them, that's all.
Oh,
There was like
okay.
apple cookies.
Desserts
It was,
and
yeah, it was
stuff,
like a
and it was
dessert
like a
bar.
dessert
Okay.
bar, you know, you can never
Alright.
go wrong with dessert.
Enough
Yeah.
said.
We debated a
Okay.
few things, ice cream. I was like, it's kind of warm in here. That seems,
The ice cream sounds. I
yeah,
would've
it
been good
seemed a
with
little
ice cream,
messy.
you know, a little hot fudge.
It also seemed a little expensive coming from purchasing, so the dessert bar was a little more cost effective. So-
Bought ice cream.
Sorry, guys.
I'm a big ice cream fan, so
Yeah.
be careful.
Well, maybe next year.
That's right. All right, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks for all the departments that came up and gave us the information, appreciate it. We can get to the resolutions now. There's two resolutions for Ways and Means. One is to authorize, Ways and Means, one is to authorize the county legislature to sign certain contracts with certain agencies. And these, from my understanding, are, the amounts that, these are the routine contracts that we have and that we pass money to Arise, Office of Tourism, Soil and Water, Central New York Regional Planning and Development Board, Cornell Cooperative Extension, and a number of libraries. These have been put in,
Move it.
put in the 24 budget. Okay, any questions? All right, great. The next resolution,
We need to.
oh, yes,
Yeah.
all in favor?
Aye.
All right, aye. Ways and Means 2 is authorizing the year-end accrual adjustments in the 2023 operating budget. And from my understanding, and Grace or the county attorney can correct me, because of the accounting system we have, if any of the budget lines go over budget, then this allows the county to put the money in those, because we're not allowed to go over budget.
Correct.
And this will allow us to put the money in those lines. The only question I had here is the last resolve, which says adjusting the entries will be subject, those that are adjusted, to approval of the chairperson and the chair of Ways and Means, who shall then, upon completion of the year and closing, report the same to the county legislature. I don't know about you, but I never knew that was in there.
We're doing it.
No, I don't think we've done that, whether that should be our responsibility, whether you could, I don't know how we want to
That's
handle
okay.
that.
Down the response.
Huh?
That's okay.
Yes, all right, then we'll go ahead and we'll look at those adjustments and we'll figure out a way to report those back. Okay. And some of the lines I know that we're getting exhausted during the year, we did put money into the 7:30 evaluations, some of the jail lines, so that we wouldn't be having this many adjustments. We saw the lines going low and we put the money in because these are all mandated things that we have to pay. Okay,
Yeah, move it.
second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, great. Now we're on to please. Let's see, Heidi, if you want to go over HHS?
Yes. HHS met with 19 resolutions. Within Health and Human Services, HH1 was amended at committee to indicate a specific hourly rate of $48. This was based on the salary of the incumbent, with training hours up to 140, so it clarifies that language.
Can I get a motion for HHS as amended?
Second.
Great, all right.
Any discussion?
All in favor?
Aye, all in favor? Yeah.
I'd like to request a bundle of HH2 and HH3. These are both fills in the public health department. One is the HH2 is the public health director to fill a full-time public health nurse position within the health department. HH3 to fill a senior public health education position or a public health educator, which gives the director some flexibility in terms of job spec,
Okay.
and therefore pool of applicants.
Motion for HH2 and 3.
Make a motion.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
HH4, authorizing the chairperson of the legislature and the public health department to renew contract between the Finger Lakes Dog Protection Agency and the County of Cayuga. We had some questions about, what we had done last year, what those costs were. And the department head, Kathleen Cuddy, very quickly sent out an email to us with those updates.
Great. Okay, all in favor?
Make a motion first.
Motion?
I'll move it.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
HH5, amending the Department of Social Services 2024 budget to accept funding from New York State in the form of Safe Harbor, New York, and to contract with Booker T. Washington Community Center Incorporated for the provision of Safe Harbor, New York services. So it's an amendment to accept funds and also a direction in terms of where we would contract those funds. We have been traditionally contracting them to Booker T. Washington Center, and the department head is very pleased with the work that's been done over the several years by Booker T. Washington.
Motion.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
I'd like to move to bundle HH6, HH7, HH15, HH16, HH17, HH18. These are all motions to enter into contracts which we annually renew. None of them are new contracts. They're all contracts that we have been working on, working with agencies we've been working with for many years, and received a report
So which,
from our department head.
what do you got again? Motion
HH6,
6, yeah,
HH7,
7,
HH15, HH16, HH17, HH18.
okay, can I get a motion to move all those?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All right,
HH8. This authorizes the legislature to create and the Social Services Commissioner to fill a paralegal specialist at grade 16 in the Department of Social Services. Was noted that there's a wash here, although this is a create, because there were 2 part-time positions that had been abolished within this consideration. There's no increase in personnel. There were discussion with the Director of Social Services and our county attorneys about the important role that this paralegal specialist can play as we move forward with the legal issues in the SS.
okay, do you want to put something together with that, or should we get a motion to approve HHA?
I'll make a motion to approve HHA.
I'll second.
Okay. Any questions? Dan, thanks for the clarification on that.
Can I ask what we just did? Cause I don't know. You lost me.
This is a motion to create a paralegal specialist in the Department of Social Services. While it is a create, it's also a wash for the department. It doesn't increase personnel because they were able to abolish 2 part-time positions.
Okay, all right.
A 1 FTE. So it keeps the county Department of Social Services at a level number of employees. And the specialist will be valuable as they move forward with even after filling the 2 additional attorneys needed, will be valuable in the preparation of paperwork, et cetera, needed for all.
We got a motion and a second, and if no other questions, all in favor?
Aye.
Right,
HH9 has been pulled. HH10 grants the Commissioner of Social Services to fill vacant positions within the Department of Social Services that were previously expired. These include those 4 case managers. And actually, I'd like to bundle HH10 and 11,
Move it.
Second.
which authorizes also a filling of a full-time staff social worker. So these are fills.
get a motion for HH 10 and 11.
Second.
Any, is there filling the budgeted vacancies?
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
HH12 was amended committee. The amendment was a simple pay rate change from $42.37 to $43.28. This is based on the incumbent's salary. This is an authorization to fill a part-time compliance officer position at the Cayuga County Mental Health Center. As you know, we've had a full-time compliance officer who is retiring, but because of her years of service and expertise, the feeling is by our department head that a part-time compliance officer will sufficiently complete those duties.
Your deputy director of mental health
Retired.
fulfilled that role, and the new director is probably not going to. Okay, yeah, great. Okay, motion and second,
Second, move it.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
HH 13 authorizes Cayuga County Legislature and the Director of the Office of Aging to create and fill a part-time aging services assistant and abolish a part-time aging services specialist position in the Office of Aging. So what is happening here is that, again, it's a wash with the create, but also the abolish. The creation of the aging services specialist will allow a job description that's more open to creating, generating a higher pool of applicants who'd still be qualified, adds more flexibility.
okay, can I get a motion in a second?
Move it.
I'll second.
Okay, yeah, and I, it's my understanding that this part-time aging service assistant is a lower grade than the specialist.
Absolutely, yes.
And that's why in the rules of order, when we talked about increasing the job, this is a change in job, but it is not an increase. So, certainly that wouldn't fall for that kind of review.
Right, it's very innovative on the part of our Director of Office for Aging.
Okay, no other questions? All in favor?
HH 14 authorizes the chair of the county legislature and the director of the youth bureau to execute agreements with various agencies to provide youth development services for youth team sports. This is monies that are available from the state of New York, specifically for youth team sports. The advisory committee to the youth bureau met and selected from applicants 3 different sport team programs.
Great, yeah. Okay, get a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second, Bernie?
Second.
Okay, great. Any questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right,
And then finally, authorizing HH 19, authorizing Cayuga County legislature and the public health director to fill a full-time early intervention service coordinator position. So this is a fill within our public health department.
Move it.
Second.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Great, thank you. Brian, you want to go?
Yep,
Your government app?
Government Ops had three resolutions. They all went to committee. The first one is GO1, amending the Cayuga County cellular phone policy.
Make a motion?
Second,
Again,
all right. We talked about that at committee. It's really just changing the dollar amount from 15 to 20 and making Tom Bunn's office manage where the phones are.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? All in favor?
aye.
GO2 is authorizing the former deputy clerk to assist our new clerk, county clerk office. And it already went to committee and
You get a motion in a second?
A motion?
Second for discussion, yeah. Yeah, this did go through committee. This allows the county clerk to bring in the deputy for up till a period of the end of March. And the dollar amount not to exceed $5,000. What it also does is establishes a hourly rate and for that particular work that I believe is not negotiable at this point. But it does point out that there are some inconsistencies with how we're going about doing these kind of things. And, you know, some of it's based on salary, hourly rate salary, some of it's based on salary and fringe, some of it's based on a dollar amount that's acceptable. And, you know, I'm certainly going to support this, but in the future, I think those kind of things should be run through either HR and the chair, and so that we don't have such inconsistencies from one department to the other.
I would agree with that.
Yep. Cut.
We got a motion and a second?
Like, yeah, move.
Second.
All right, like I said, I'll support this, and, you know, I think at this point, we've got to look a lot more closely at how they're coming about some of these resolutions. Yep, all in favor? Okay.
GO3 has designated June 19th as Juneteenth Independence Day as a holiday in our county. So with that went to committee.
Yep.
And
I'll make a motion.
I'll second. We were happy it went, got full support, so.
Ryan, I have a question.
Yeah.
I support I support it, by the way, but do we know the costs associated with it for the essential workers as far as what?
we don't, and that's when, we're gonna, that's what Elaine's gonna figure out.
Okay.
Or work with Denise
Or work with
perhaps.
Denise.
Well,
I know I don't know if Lynn's not here.
Lynn isn't here, and I think she forwarded, I mean, we're at a
She was
disadvantage.
trying
We don't know how many
Yeah.
people will be staffed.
Right.
You'll even need to staff for the essential services that you provide, so I don't even know how to answer that question.
I did reach out to payroll. My fiscal officer's been sick, so I couldn't get a good number for you, but it depends. So some of our workers would be paid time and a half, some would be paid double time, depending on whether or not they're scheduled to work. I think for the sheriff's office, you could safely say somewhere in the range of 15,000 to 20,000, depending on how many are working double time, or it would depend, so.
And that's similar to like Martin Luther King Day. Same thing would apply. You have a certain amount of staffing there.
It's Christmas, it's all the holidays.
Correct.
Memorial Day.
Any holiday of the federal.
I talked to Denise and everyone and they just did 12% or whatever it is.
Yeah.
There was there was a lot.
Right, so yes, because all of your staff won't have the day off. Correct. Thank you. Okay, all in favor of designating June 19th, Juneteenth Independence Day?
Aye.
All right.
Holiday, yeah.
Yes, a holiday. Okay, now, public, planning and public works, Stephanie?
Sure. So we had 12 resolutions that went through committee. We do have one, which is PPW 13, that is a walk-on for this evening, which is the emergency repair of the roof, which is $65,000 that'll be coming out of the general fund. And that covered 4,000 square feet of repair. And I do want to mention that that will require a 2/3 vote on the legislative floor.
Like, yeah, move it. Discussion.
You want to do that now or wait till
Sure.
the very end? Sure, while I just did, yeah, absolutely. Yep. Second,
Yep.
discussion?
Just a question to Gary, this is a temporary fix?
Yes, it is.
Spring, we're gonna need a whole new roof? I mean,
We need a whole new roof.
yes.
We needed a new roof before this happened, but we definitely need a new roof now.
So this will get us through to the good weather, and then
Yes.
you'll go out and get a bid for the roof replacement?
Yes,
At the
right
county
now,
office building?
yes. First thing I need to do is get a spec and design for the new roof,
Mhm.
because unfortunately, we could copy what we did before, but the codes have changed in 2020, requiring more insulation on the roof and so on. So we really need to have an architect go through and get a spec, and then we'll take it from there.
And if we were to rehab this building eventually at some point, that roof stays? It's not a bad, I mean,
Yeah.
right,
There was, the last time that we discussed the county office building, some of you may recall they were considering adding a story on here.
Uh-huh.
We wouldn't want to tear the new roof off and do that, but the decision was made early on in the process not to go that direction. It wasn't going to be cost effective, and it just wasn't, the group in the legislature basically ruled that we wouldn't do that. So that roof is going to remain intact.
and if you could guess what the cost would be?
I was just gonna
The
guess.
new roof?
Yeah.
I should have anticipated that question. I'm going to guess it will be crowding $1 million.
What's $1 million?
What's the
Elaine,
life- what's the
our 250
lifespan
was
of-
off.
Yeah, right, yeah, right. Bit by lot.
What's your expected lifespan? Is it 6
Like
months,
250,000
3 months?
that's all.
Of the fix?
Of the fix.
Yeah, the fix, basically, the fix is intended to bring us into the spring construction season. I would not recommend it bringing it through a whole summer or anything like that. There's a reason why, what we did, just to give Reader's Digest, maybe some of you guys know about roofs maybe more than I do, who knows? But basically, it's a flat roof, and the way that roof is set up, there's an upper layer, that's the impervious surface, it's a rubber roof, okay? Then there's insulation, then on the concrete deck that's on the building is what's called a vapor barrier. That's just like the insulation in your house, where you have a vapor barrier on the insulation, so that the moisture doesn't go through, condense on the outside, and rain inside your walls. You don't want that to happen. You don't want that to happen on your roof either. So what we basically have done is ripped off, Mother Nature ripped off a lot of the roof, and then we ripped off the remaining insulation down to that concrete deck, and we installed a vapor barrier. And so the vapor barrier, because it is designed to be impervious, is in fact impervious and is holding water. So we should be good to go. But vapor barriers are not designed to withstand the elements over a long period of time. You know, the sun's rays are a big enemy to any
Sun
roof.
degrades.
Yes, so it would degrade and eventually it will fail.
And you don't have, there's no stone up there or anything. It's not rubber. It's just, we put the vapor barrier down for now.
Yeah, we have the vapor barrier down. That's what's keeping us watertight right now. And that was tied into the main roof that was left from the damage. But unfortunately, when the roof flopped over, this corner back here is what came off, and it skidded across the north side and put a bunch of holes in that as well, which the company patched at the same time. Yeah.
Gary, you know square footage of the roof?
The part that blew off is 4,000 square feet. It's a little less than 25% of the roof, probably. So I'm going to say probably close to 20,000 square feet. Yeah.
I'd just like to acknowledge the efforts by a very keen team of people, including you, Gary, and Shireen was involved in as operations manager in some critical things with that as well, and creating a way to get workers in and out of the building to get their materials to work with. Aileen, of course, coordinating. We had a great team that got together very quickly, and if I'm missing people, please know that I'm doing that without any malice, but was especially given the fact that there was very bitter weather afterward. It was amazing how quickly a crane got here, how quickly a contractor was found and hired to do this work. Just my kudos and great appreciation. It's a remarkable testimony to what we can do in an emergency, as it did with great teamwork.
I appreciate that. And again, I appreciate Elaine's leadership and being willing to let me do what I needed to do. Because if there was doubt, if we wanted to follow some of the purchasing procedures, for example.
Yeah, Amanda.
I'm on board for the emergency.
She shared that information. We're okay because of the emergency. But if we hadn't done what we did as quickly as we did, this would have been a washout. I mean, there was water in here. And, luckily we borrowed the extractor from the cleaning company. And many of these tiles are brand new. There was a lot of tiles that were gone. I've got pictures of it every step of the way if anybody really wants to see them. I don't know how many Elaine shared with people, but it was quite an effort to get it cleaned up and get it dry so we don't have mold and all that stuff. I think Fred Westfall came in on the weekend when I was coming in to check it, and he commented, he says it's like a sauna up here. I said, well, that's because we have to evaporate every speck of water out.
Right.
So
Blowers are hard and loud.
Yeah. So, I'm just, as you probably all know, and probably paid attention, maybe not as much as Elaine and I and Shireen and so on, but it poured Friday night. If we had got it sealed up by Friday night, we'd have been in a world of trouble. So, yeah. So I'm happy that it worked out the way it did.
Good job.
For sure.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Any other questions on
I
that?
don't think so. Do you want to finish going over your resolution?
I do. So we're gonna back paddle to one.
All right.
So going back to PPW one, that was amended in the committee. What that is authorizing the superintendent of buildings and grounds to fill a part-time accountant clerk typist to replace a part-time account clerk typist who resigned. And the amendment was for the dollar amount, which was to be 21.74. So can I get a motion?
I'll move it.
Second,
Thank God.
discussion? All those in
All right.
favor? Aye. All right, and then PPW two is approving a shared services project by the city of Auburn to design, bid, expand, reconfigure, and renovate the city court area of the historic post office, and to authorize the county attorney's office to engage in negotiations with the city of Auburn, intermunicipal agreement, lease, and license with the city of Auburn to implement the project. Couple things I just want to add to this that we discussed is, as we all are aware, this is a $433,000 cost that's going to be coming out of our general fund. And, you know, the county is going to be responsible as the landlord with the city of Auburn leasing this space. So the city of Auburn is using their ARPA funds to rehab the actual space that they're going to be renting. And then we will remain the landlord and be responsible for the maintenance of that building. Gary, I don't know if you wanted to add anything to that.
The only thing I would add really is, the city's gonna be here to do a presentation for the full legislature. So you'll have all the information in front of you to make the final decision. We just ask for support going forward. You can always change your vote at the ledge, which hopefully nobody will, because I don't know what else we're gonna do with that building. But it's up to you guys.
Thank you, Gary.
Thank you for arranging the city to return.
Well, they were happy to come in and do it. So it's been in the works for, well, at least 10 years. And so it's about time that they really got this done. So.
And this will require a 2/3 vote on the legislative floor as well, being that it's coming out of the general fund.
Yep. So can I motion in a second, then any further discussion if we have it? Okay, any further discussion?
Eventually pay for itself.
I think these particular costs the county's going to bear because these are building.
Right.
The building, we own the building and these are building costs. That's how I understood you and Fred to say.
Yeah.
And that's not gonna be recouped by the rent.
Well, over time it will.
Oh, over
Over time it will,
Okay.
but it won't be recouped like next week.
Gotcha. So we'll make rate into investment and then we'll build it into the rent.
Correct.
Okay, all right.
That's all right. Yeah,
That's all right.
It is a return on investment. It's just gonna be-
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
So we were having a side conversation, so I missed it. Is this out of the general fund or is not?
It looks like the
Yes.
433 is coming from the
Before
county's
we
general fund.
Go to the full edge, can we investigate the building fund? And see what we have left in our buildings?
Oh, yes.
Have a capital reserve.
At one point, we had like 3.5 million in that building fund, I think.
So I'm just curious, is it,
Yes,
we take it from there or we should take it from general?
Gotcha. Okay, good idea. And then whatever, we can bring a resolution, if amended, to the full edge.
Right, so should we amend it now? to-
No, I think we
just
should
leave it-
investigate it,
Okay,
yeah. So
and then
it's
amend
either
it
to
at the
stay
ledge.
as general fund or potentially we
Okay.
could consider the building reserve.
Okay.
Okay, good idea. Thank you.
Now bring it to walk on.
All right, and then moving on
Vote
to,
on that? Keep-
It's not amended yet.
yeah, we're not
So
gonna
we're
amend
not
it
gonna
now.
vote on it.
Oh, but everyone's in favor of PW two?
Yes.
Yes.
Aye.
All right, moving on to highway. So I'm gonna bundle W3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And those are all authorizations to approve, for example, surface treatment, to authorization to extend bids on automotive mechanic position, garage manager position, and to approve a 2024 paving list and authorization of equipment. So I'd like to present those as a bundle.
Let Young move to bundle PW 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Moving on to parks. So PPW 9, authorizing an increase in parks and trails part-time agricultural museum aid wages.
I'll move that.
Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
I'm going to skip over PPW 10 because I'd like to pull that out for discussion. I'll move on to PPW 11, resolution to increase parks and trails facility rental rates.
Second.
motion and second,
Discussion?
covered at the meeting. Any other discussion from you, any of you? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
PPW 12, authorizing the hiring of seasonal staff for the Parks and Trails Department for the 2024 season.
Second.
I'll move it. Brian can second it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All those in
I'll move it.
favor?
all right.
Kind of late,
Yeah.
draw there.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, and then going back to PPW 10, that is the authorization to change Emerson Park fee rates. I pulled that out because that's discussion in regards to veterans resolution to give the veterans a discount on the rates.
Yes, I talked to Amanda and apparently Aileen had asked, that was discussed, but it was never amended at the meeting. So if there's interest in amending that resolution to give that discounted rate to not only seniors, handicapped, but also to veterans, we can move to amend the resolution and bring it to the floor. There's support for adding a veterans.
Yes.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. Can that be amended, Chris?
Sure.
And then we'll bring it to the floor
Yep,
and we'll put the veteran in.
we'll vote on the amendment here.
Yep.
And then the resolution as amended, and it will go to the legislature
Okay,
in the amended form, provided that the Doug, in this case, the department head, provides us with the rates and what,
okay,
or you guys just let us know what you want the amendments to be.
okay. So can I get a motion to make the amendment to add the veterans discount to this resolution and a second to that?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Okay.
So the veterans discount, is that amount known already?
I would think it'd be the same as the senior and the handicap discount.
Okay.
Because that's what's in that particular resolution.
So is that the amendment?
Yes, to make it the same.
Yep.
Okay, sounds
I'm
good.
gonna vote on it.
All in favor?
Aye. That's it for
And
me.
now we need to vote on the resolution as amended.
Okay, let's vote on the resolution as amended.
Make a motion. I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And we already did PPW 13, so I'm all set.
Yep.
Can I
Thank you.
get a vote on PPW 13 though? I did not get the all in favor on that.
We didn't vote on it.
We didn't vote
Oh, okay, so let's.
Yeah, I had a motion and a second, but I did not get the vote on it.
Okay. PPW 13 is to authorize the $65,000 for the roof repair to, I guess we're going to look at it, whether that 65 comes out of the general fund or the building reserve. We'll determine that before and bring the resolution to ways.
No,
It's just-
no, that, I think that was on PPW 2, if it's gonna come
Yeah,
out of the
but it could
building
be-
fund.
I have a question on
Right?
13.
No, I thought PPW 2, the 430-some thousand.
We talked about that for PPW 2, but this could also qualify?
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
I had
Okay,
a question
So we could look at both of
That's
those.
the question.
I'm sick of Amanda and these roof people, I'm telling you right now.
You need to be a roofer. That student storm damage, is that reimbursed by insurance or is that?
That's all.
Insurance, it is reimbursed, so we'll see most of that money back.
It's,
minus
the claims have been sent out and
Oh, that's a good point.
looking at, but yes.
Is that true, Gary? That you're gonna
That's
try
insurance
to get
claim will pay for
insurance?
most of the 65,000, a part of it.
I believe that our deductible is 25,000. Beyond that, I assume the insurance will pay for most of this, I would think. I mean, it was definitely a natural disaster.
yeah.
Gary, timely enough that you'll be able to need the funds, or would this be reimbursed if we took it out of the building reserve and you got the insurance money? Do we replenish it?
I would
My
make that
question is as
resolution that
well.
in the event the
Okay,
insurance reimbursements are made to the county, that those reimbursements are directed at whatever fund you have taken the money from.
okay,
Reserve fund.
But my question goes even further,
okay.
because we had to do an emergency fix, but shouldn't the insurance claim be filed for the entire roof? The fixes, no, the fix, we didn't fix, all we did was patch it. We didn't fix.
That's
the roof.
actually, that's really good.
So shouldn't the insurance claim be for the entire roof instead of the patch job? The 65,000 is a patch job. That's not the repair of the roof. The insurance claim should be for the repair of the roof. And the repair of the roof is,
$1 million.
Yeah, isn't there
This
like
$1 million we
a
just
time
talked
limit
about.
on when you can file?
I mean, maybe prorated because of the age of the roof, but that's for the, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm just.
I'll share one thing with you guys as far as the building. There's two building reserve accounts, the building repair reserve, which currently has a bank balance of about $169,000. Then the building capital reserve, that's $5.9 million that was set aside for this building.
Oh, that's right.
Now, because that roof is on this building, I'm thinking that building capital reserve could be used for that. Even though.
For the replacement.
Even though roof is a repair, but that's, Chris, I'm asking you.
Yeah, I have to go back and look at the language, how we set up those capital accounts.
Yeah, the one's called the building capital reserve. That's for capital improvements to the building. And then the building repair reserve is for any building.
Right, but there's a difference in the process, whether it's a repair or it's a new capital project. Post office would be, I would think, more of a capital project versus a repair, where the roof would be a repair. I think that's my recollection, but I'd like to go back and double check the statute.
Look at I just wanted to show the numbers that are available.
Thank you.
So for clarification, we're gonna look at both PW two and PW 13. And where those funds would come from and what would qualify.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And then we'll have those answers and bring them to the.
That might be Lynn on the phone. She's got her hand up.
Who?
Oh, man.
Lynn. Hey, Lynn.
Yes.
Hello.
The other thing I think that, the county attorneys might be able to speak to it, that if we take it from one of those reserves, it might be a 2-month process. I think Chris has said that in the past, that to take money from the reserves, we can't just take it. So that's one of the reasons I suggested taking out of the fund balance is $65,000.
I think it depends on which reserve, and that's why I hesitated to answer Gary's question. Repair versus capital, there's something that the process changes. And you're right, there's a public hearing that may be required for one of them, but I don't think it's both of them. I just want to double check that before I give an answer. I don't know, right off the top of my head.
I feel like it was capital, because you're planning,
Might have been.
right? And you would have time to plan and you've got to have.
If that's the post
drawings
office, you might have time for that.
Right.
If it's a repair, then that doesn't require, but I'd like to know the answer solidly before I shoot my mouth off. Get smarter as I get older.
And I think your point, I thought, was if the insurance would cover the temporary patch, could you claim the full?
Well, I
roof?
think what you do is you file the claim for the roof.
Mhm.
They pay you for what they cost to replace even that portion of the roof, and say it's $1 million for the whole roof, 20% would be like 200,000. Part of that's gonna obviously go to the patch, not gonna pay for both separately,
Mhm.
but they give you a claim of an amount. And then obviously it's up to us to depend how we distribute the money, partially for the patch and then whatever towards the full repair.
As you said.
Gary, could you explore that?
Prorated, right.
Can you explore
Prorated
like
as
putting
well.
a full insurance claim in?
I'm
And do
sorry.
you have to do that now or?
Well,
You have to do that after you get the quotes.
the insurance company had an adjuster come in and look at it, and I showed him, obviously, we went right up there, and I shared pictures with him, not only of where it was blown off, but where it blew onto and the damage to the other side. So at the very least, I would say at least half of that roof was damaged and needs to be replaced because of the blow off. The other half really wasn't disturbed by the blow off. So to be fair, that's the truth.
But so you basically file a claim, they say how much they're gonna give you, right? After the deductible, they say this will recover.
Yeah, I believe the process, and I think Sheila handles this more than I do once it gets past the adjuster coming in, but I think the adjuster will make remarks, and then we'll be submitting our bills as we go along, and then it'll have to be reconciled with the insurance company. But in other words, I'm not sure that anybody's committing to what they're gonna do right now. But everything that Buildings and Grounds, and I've got my guys getting their hours together as well to keep track of what the cost of the blow off was. Okay,
Manpower they might cover too.
right.
Yep.
That's what we're hoping, or at least it could be part of the deductible.
Yep.
right?
So potentially they'll be only covering half of the roof, potentially.
Up to,
Minus 25,000.
so it could be, so we could be.
What's 25,000
That's the
deductible?
deductible.
It's deductible, yeah. That's my understanding, and I'm 90% sure on that, but I think it's 20, it used to be 25,000.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
There's no insurance at all talking about PW2. That's the county's responsibility for.
Yeah, PW2 has nothing to do with
Yeah,
it.
it's just where the funds are gonna come from. This is the one that we're gonna be looking at. Okay.
I thought reimbursement is all, that's how it opened up that can.
Okay.
I'm done with mine.
Amanda, did we get a vote on this?
No,
PW13.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye. You love
Thank
those
you.
worms. You keep
I
finding
do,
them.
they're gonna put a muzzle
All right.
on me pretty soon.
Trust me, I almost got one
You ready?
myself, so.
Oh, I'm ready.
Yeah.
All right, now, we'll get better.
Get to it.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
if I can present, I have nine resolutions. I'd like to bundle JP1, JP2, which is appointing the administrator, indigent defendant, chair of the county legislature to enter into an agreement with Recovery Monitoring Solutions for electronic monitoring. JP1 is appointing Lloyd Hoskins to the position of administrator. He's been there since 1994, and he'll continue at that position at a rate of $45 an hour. And JP2 sets the rate for the GPS monitoring, enhanced monitoring, and the
For probation.
probation, and that's covered through a gift.
Yep.
Gun and violence elimination grant.
Okay, can we get a motion for
Move it.
JP1 and 2?
Second.
All right, any questions about those two? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Next one is JP3. JP3 authorizes is a create and fill. Authorizes the sheriff to hire a police division deputy to fill a position within the civil department. This is a create and fill position. And I will just say that JP6 was amended to remove the backfill language to allow JP3.
Move it.
Second.
Yep, all in favor?
Aye.
I'm gonna bundle JP4 and JP5. This authorizes the sheriff to fill 2 vacant deputy sheriff police positions and to authorize the sheriff to fill up to 7 vacant deputy custody positions for the jail.
I can get move to bundle JP4 and 5.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
JP6 is a filling position for a deputy sheriff police to, I'm sorry, to fill the, that one's been amended to allow the sheriff to promote a police sergeant. The backfill language of that has been removed, so it's only a fill of a sergeant position.
Move it.
Second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
JP7 was tabled for further discussion and to rewrite the civil service requirements. I'd like to bundle JP8 and JP.
Move it.
I'll second. Any questions about the dollar increase on the special patrol officers? All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Favorite part? What? Motion?
All right.
All right, motion to adjourn? Thanks.
Move it.
Thank
Aye.
you. Second.
You gotta end it. All in favor?
Aye.
Out.
All in favor?